Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. If you have a operating camera, switch it on so we can see you. If you have a bad hair day, don't do it. Hey, Esther. Esther, are you Hungarian? Because your name is similar to my name.
Yes. Hi. Hi, good morning. I'm sorry, I'm having my breakfast.
Oh, no problem. I am having my coffee.
But yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, I am indeed Hungarian. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to Hungary just in a couple of days.
Oh my God, so nice.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for having this meeting. You know, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, welcome. We thought that while as we begin, if you can write into the chat where you're connecting from, so we get a little bit of a
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Hello, Mohammed. Hello, Nada. Nada, I cannot see you, but I imagine you there. There you are. You're driving.
I'm driving.
Oh, don't look at us, please, please. Don't
No,
look at
I
us.
will look. So just until I get home, I need 10 minutes.
Okay, no problem. So, Barbara, hello. Can you hear us? And May? And Daniel and Chloe. Chloe is connecting. Farah, hello. Sitare, I don't think we have met before. So welcome everybody. As you are joining, please use the chat and write where you're connecting from, so we get an idea of this virtual geography that we are creating here. Oh, Scotland. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so let me see a little bit. We have Scotland, USA, UK, Poland, Toronto, Poland, London, Melbourne. Oh my God, thank you for being up so late. Oslo, hello. Well, welcome everybody. Karen and I are very excited to be hosting this first time that we do this webinar for Prime. And while we are, there are a few more people joining, I will start to share the screen. And if you don't have problems with your video, just now in the beginning, if you want to put your video on so we see you. Hello, Jed. Just to connect visually, and then we will have some slides that we will share. You can switch it off, but it's so nice to see the faces from around the world. Hello, everybody. Those who are joining, please type into the chat where you're connecting from. So we get a feel. We have people from London, Oslo, UK, USA, Scotland, Poland. Okay, so welcome everybody. And I will start to share my screen to give you the official welcome. There you are. So this session is enabling the SDGs through a sustainability mindset. If that is not what you had in mind, then you are in the wrong link, but you can stay because maybe you like it anyway. Mm-hmm. And the question that we pose is, why now? Why does this? Why should we care about this now? Karen Cripps, she's connecting from. Karen, where are you from? Where are you connecting from? Your voice.
I'm from the UK.
Okay, so welcome. I just wanted to hear your voice. That's it. So we are both members of the working group on the sustainability mindset. And as we were preparing these slides, we really like this image of the compass because it shows paradigm change and paradigm. And I think that is the big challenge and the wonderful opportunity we have to accelerate the change, the transformation, because we are already out in a way of a paradigm of a narrative that collapsed. And we are not yet in the new one. And so we are in the red zone. But let me share with you first the answers to 4 questions that we always have on our mind when we start a meeting. which is why should I care about this? Why is this important? What is it about? What will happen in this session? How will it go? And so what will be in it for me? So to the first question, why we think that this topic is important is because the system has cracked open. A few years ago, we had to explain why we needed a new mindset. Now everybody knows that some things are wrong, and a lot depends on what brought us there. How have we been thinking and operating? So really, what was a given is now deeply questioned. So the system has cracked open. What will we do today? We will briefly introduce the principles and the indicator, but also share stories. And that is maybe the most interesting part. It's how concepts or frameworks become reality when they land on the ground. And that is mainly where Karen will bring her stories of what she has been pioneering and doing and the results. So what? We hope that we provide some food for thought and inspiration and nurture your imagination, and also that we can create some kind of a exchange with your questions that will go into different directions. And talking about questions, that is the first thing that we want to invite you. It is called the Stop, Reflect, Write, and Report. This is a very brief process where we invite you to stop, pause, and I will stop talking. And in 1 minute, if you can reflect and come up with one question that you would like to have answered after this session, and write it into the chat. And that way, Karen and I can see if we have answers for those or not, look them up quickly. And also everybody gets a feeling of where the relevance, where the interest is of other people in the room. So take a moment, we will give you 60 seconds to think of a question that you would like to have answered in this hour, and type it into the chat. Okay, thank you very much. Keep posting them if you are still typing. We will take a look at them during the session, and hopefully we will address several of those, maybe not all of them, but we will explore more as we go along. So to start with, I wanted to share a little spaghetti here about what is our landscape. And that is obviously only a partial view of our landscape and the feedback loops and how the challenges are interconnected. And the reason that I wanted to start sharing that, because sometimes we see things in a linear way. We see one thing at a time. News on that we hear, that we get a hold of, someone talks about something. So we get these bits and pieces, but we never see the whole spaghetti, how it is all connected, and how the complexity that this implies. So one of the questions that has been so important for us is to identify what has been the mindset that created those problems. Obviously, there are some problems, weather-related events that we say, well, I didn't create it, but indirectly, as you could see in that graph, there may have been behaviors and a mindset that played a role in this. So I just will share a few. For example, we have been seeing nature as natural resources, right? And so it is an infinite provider of resources, or so we thought. Also the short-term focus, prioritizing financial returns. Oh yes, that has been an important criteria. Individualism, unawareness, not intentional harm, but actually we realize that we have been in unintentional ways being part of the problem. Sometimes stakeholders considered, but just in a limited fashion. Maybe we are not thinking of the next generations, or we are not thinking of nature as a stakeholder in our decisions. Linear thinking, yes, it's not hinking, it's thinking. Sorry, there's a T missing. Rational thinking, analysis, very important. Our focus is on logical thinking and rational thinking at the neglect of the emotions, and not that it should be an either or, but when we neglect emotions, when we don't bring our emotions into the conversation, we are missing a critical piece. And I will share with you a little bit later why and part of the research. Fear of risks, right? So we continue doing things as we have been doing it. Speedy actions and reactions. We are in a time where everything has to happen quickly. And if we don't do and act quickly, we are left behind. And so we all speed up. Siloed thinking. Disconnect from personal values and a sense of purpose. We are so transactional that there are not many times, and because also the speed that we are working with, we don't stop and say, why am I doing this anyway? And the materialistic thinking in business. These are just a few ones. So what I would like to share with you is a definition, a quick definition of what is a sustainability mindset. We define a sustainability mindset as a particular way of thinking and being that is expressed in actions for the greater good. And I will share with you now the 12 principles and a little bit of a background history. In 2005, I started my doctoral work at Columbia University, and I wanted to understand why certain business leaders championed sustainability initiatives that deeply transformed how their business was operating, but no one asked them to do so. And I wanted to understand why they did it. Why did they do it? No one asked them. It was an uphill battle. And why did they decide? So I was curious about their motivations. Was it some kind of personality thing? Was it a trauma they experienced? Was it something they knew? Was it midlife crisis? Why did they do it? And not understanding why they were doing it really had us in the dark if we wanted to intentionally develop leaders that would be more caring for their impact on the environment or the community. So I thought that if there are any aspects that we could develop, let's find out what these could be. So I was able to identify a number of aspects actually that are replicable, that we can intentionally develop. And I called this set of aspects the sustainability mindset, because all of them together had a powerful impact on the actions, on the behaviors. I grouped those aspects into 4 content areas. One is the ecological worldview, the other systems, perspectives, emotional and spiritual intelligence. And I will briefly go over there just to give you an overview, because that has an impact on the work that educators are doing. Karen is one of them, in bringing it to the classroom and bringing it to the conversation with the students. So the first one is ecological worldview. What does it mean? That we start to develop a worldview that takes into consideration the whole ecosystem, not just the business, not just the financial returns, but takes in the complexity of these different aspects, and also connects with our feelings. When I say that we have a very rational approach, that has been one of the both problems and opportunities, because as a problem, because we have not been able to connect with the heart, we have made a lot of decisions, or we are making daily decisions which actually don't match our values very much. But we keep the disconnect in our mind. When we start to connect it with our feelings, now it is a more integral and more holistic presence that we bring to the table. And as a result, our decisions are different, because now we also include caring, we include compassion, we feel these things, we don't know what to do it is, and it has a result, as an impact in our decisions, or at least makes us hesitate. Oh, should I do this? I don't know that I should. Okay. So there are two principles that fall into this content area. One is called ecoliteracy, and ecoliteracy is basically about having a big picture of all the challenges. And it's not so much about going in depth, but the importance of connecting, of seeing that the challenges are complex, are multiple, and are interconnected. And very importantly, also connect with the feelings, because many times we cater to the head and not to the whole being that is sitting there in the classroom. And when we cater to the head, this is just intellectual information that doesn't propel us to do much, unless we say, oh, maybe this is a good business case. But the deep engagement comes when we connect as an individual from our whole being, and feelings included. So research has found that in engaging the emotions, making space for the emotions, it's a powerful accelerator lever for getting into behaviors, getting into action. We're like, oh my God, I cannot be the only one knowing this. I need to do something. I cannot live with myself not doing anything. I don't know what to do, but I need to do something. That deep conviction from the inside out, that is what is transformative. That is what gets us into action. And that is why we linked it with the SDGs, because SDGs is a wonderful charter for everything that has to be solved. We just need to engage not only, oh, I need to do that, but I want to do it. I cannot not do it. This is so important for me, whatever part of the SDGs, because there is something for everybody. My contribution, a very powerful one. That is a very simple question. I wonder how I'm contributing, how I am part of the problem. And that simple question is so powerful because it automatically shifts our position from being a victim of what is happening, a victim of the corporations, of the lobby, of the political party, of the regulatory environments, of corruption. There's always something out there that makes us feel we are a victim, nothing we can do. And that is powerlessness. That is a stamp of powerlessness. When we start to reflect, in what ways am I part of the problem? And that may be because I am creating the problem. Maybe I'm promoting it. I'm not creating, but I'm promoting it. Or am I allowing it? Allowing it. There's a famous saying that for evil to succeed, it only requires the silence of the good one, something like that. No, but really, allowing is letting things happen. And that is disempowering, self-disempowering. So by understanding and taking a look, what is my contribution, it just opens a possibility to, well, if I'm part of this, I may be doing something. I may be able to do something different. The second one is the systems perspective. And there are four principles that fall into this category. Systems perspective is a way of looking into information and analyzing the information in order to make decisions afterwards. So that I found in my study very important, and then many colleagues did other studies that confirm this. long-term thinking, because we are so encouraged to focus on the short term that we don't pay attention sufficiently to the long-term implications of our decisions, of our actions. And as you know, in nature, things happen many times in the long term. And but when it is like now, we have sea level rise, and it says, well, even if we stop all our emissions, we still will have the lagging effect for decades to come. So there is a long-term thinking that we better start embedding into our everyday thinking, not to take, not to be exclusively long-term, but just to complement the short-term thinking that we are very good at. The other one is flow in cycles. We are very used to think of linear growth. Oh, we can grow indefinitely. Every country has growth, or what will be our growth in the next cycle. No politician would be elected if he or she would say we want to degrow. And companies are constantly thinking of growing. There's a growth mantra that really is delusional, because it cannot connect with a planet that has finite boundaries. The next one is both and thinking, very important in our polarized world, because we seem to be so used to either or. Either you are right or I. Either I am right, or if I'm right, you're the terrorist. No, if I am right, you're the terrorist, and for you, it's the other way around. So we are so used to have this either or thinking. It goes way beyond the environmental sustainability, but sustainability is also about our social and relationships. So developing the both and thinking, very important for sustainability. Just simply, it's not an either or, either planet or profit, right? Interconnections, the last one, very important to see how we are all part of nested systems, and the importance of this interdependence when we are making decisions and analyzing information. I want to go quickly through the other two, and then you will have a chance to find more in our resources, and we will continue talking. But emotional intelligence, there are three principles that fall into this category. One is reflection, and here it is the way to operationalize it is that when we have take a moment to pause and ponder about a decision that we are about to make, instead of jumping into immediately just going into action, using our automatic habits, automatic behaviors. Automatism is very good, it's very efficient when we go up and are sleepy in the morning and have to know already that we have to brush the teeth and make the coffee and jump into the car or go to the bus. That's automatic. We just don't think, we are still sleeping. But when we make decisions in the day-to-day, so many times we don't ponder what is the implication of this. And it could be, do I really need to go by car today? I have a little bit more time. What if I walk? What if I take the bus? So that only can happen when we notice our automatic pace, this very fast pace that we are keeping up with everything. So to notice the pace is the first step. The second one is called self-awareness. I think we need to mute. The second one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is particularly referred to understanding what are important aspects for our identity, what makes us feel who we are, but that are unsustainable. And that is so important because many of the values of our shared culture are in fact unsustainable the way we are living them. However, they are so important to who we are that we don't question them collectively. If everybody agrees that speed is important, how can I say, well, speed is making us to make too speedy decisions that are unsustainable afterwards and say, oh, why did I do Or if everybody takes for granted technology is important, maybe we are not questioning what are the implications on the stakeholders, on the people that are not in the room, the next generation, or what about the labor force, etc. If we are sharing the value of independence, oh yes, we all want to be independent. Yesterday we celebrated in the US the Independence Day. Well, does independence actually exist? Is there anyone on this planet that is independent and autonomous? We are deeply connected and deeply needing one another, even people that we will never meet. But we need this net of support to do our daily things, right? Well, someone made the coffee, made a cup, had a cow for the milk, had a cane of sugar, and someone made the chair. Where would I be sitting? Someone is in the utility company making sure that I have an internet, and the list goes on. Oh, but I'm very independent. That's a myth. However, it's a collective myth, and a myth that has brought us to many unsustainable behaviors without us wanting it. The next one, the last one, is creative innovation. Very important, because right now we need innovation not only from the creative artists and the designers and the R&D people. We need everybody to innovate. And how can we do the things that we are doing in new ways that have less harm, that do less harm, or that are restorative? And I will go quickly to the last one, which is spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence was a little bit of a surprise in my research, but really it deals with the big questions. Questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What is the difference that I want to make in the life? And sometimes we get at our midlife crisis and have these questions. Sometimes we have a trauma and get at these questions sooner, but nothing stops us from asking these questions to young people and start having this as an umbrella question to ponder. It's not a question to answer once, it's a question to have continuously popping up, like to keep us on track to be the best we want to be the best of what we can be. So there are three aspects, three principles that fall into this category. One is with nature, which is really an experiential one. It's not something that we can discuss and learn about. We could have a conversation, but the most powerful is having that experience. It's just having this moment of awe, independent when it was and when it happened to you, where you felt, I didn't have words, but I just felt such a sense of harmony, and I didn't know what it was, but I just felt that I was part of a larger system. Well, that's one is with nature, and it radically changes our way of making decisions when we start to see nature as part of where a system in which we are belonging, as opposed to resources, the instrumental view. Oh, let me use this. The second one is mindfulness. Mindfulness both as a process and a practice and as a result. And briefly said, it would be, am I fully present? Because so much of our speed makes us to be already thinking what I have to do next and what I shouldn't forget and what I just did and analyzing what just happened. And here we are jumping between the past and the future. And we are not in the only place where we have control, which is the present. And so when we have developed this practice of anchoring ourselves very much in the present, different type of decisions come about. And there is very interesting research about the impact of mindfulness or contemplative practices and social sensitivity and levels of compassion and expanding scopes of caring. And the last one is purpose, which is this question, why am I here? What is it that I want to do with my gifts, with my talents? What is the higher purpose I want to give to my life today, next week, and for the next few years, maybe? So very important questions that really can start. They are not just questions to deal with one moment. These are transformative questions that shape a different mindset. So the last thing that I will share with you is someone asked about assessment. We have developed, I'd say with a colleague, Beate Klingenberg in Germany, we have developed an indicator that is called a sustainability mindset indicator. And I know some colleagues here in the room have worked with it. What is it basically? It is a personal development tool where the individual answers a number of, makes a number of choices, and then receives a report, and that report has it's 30 pages that really go in depth in showing this is where you are and how you feel, how you have adapted in a productive way to your environment. At the same time, here are the downsides of this adaptation. So it is a little bit of a non-judging mirror with information, but also with suggestions about what are the things that you would like to do, have you considered this or that. It's also a research tool in the way that educators are using it, that they can assess a map and profile of a group at a certain point, and then in the future, after some intervention, how they have moved on or transformed their mindset. It's a pedagogical support, and I think I will, there are resource books with exercises, okay, what to do with those resources, with those responses. So let me go now, Karen, I'm a little bit late, sorry for this, you go.
Not at all. Thank you, Isabel. The beauty for me, every time I hear Isabel talk about the sustainability mindset principles, is that despite having been immersed in the principles for over 2 years, I learn something each time, and it reminds me, you know, as compared to some other frameworks and other development goals that are out there, these are all very much, you know, academically and robustly underpinned by a wealth of literature, which Isabel will talk to you about later with the books. So to give you a little bit of context still on the design of the principles before I more go into talking about how I've applied them in my teaching practice, the sustainability mindset principles are based upon this 4 quadrants model, which has got 2 levels of analysis. You can see internal, external against individual and collective. So when you're thinking about mindset, you can be thinking about how it applies to yourself and to your students and to broader organizations and indeed, you know, national broader contexts. So from an external level of analysis, thinking about the general perceptions of mindset, you see that being operated in how leaders behave. So are they advocates or are they resistant to engaging in responsible management? Have they got some blind spots around how they could engage in responsible management? And at a collective level, you see that area of general focus in terms of the policies, the regulations, the sustainable development goals that are set out. And the difference and the beauty of the sustainability mindset is that it goes internal, into looking at beneath the iceberg, the values and the beliefs that individuals hold. So if there's an individual in an organization that's resisting investing time or resource in responsible management, for example, questioning, you know, why is that? Digging deeper to understand why they don't want to engage. Is it fear of knowledge, fear of failure? It's tapping into those emotions that Isabel has talked about. And at the collective level of those unspoken values. So if, you know, what's underpinning those cultures within organizations and countries and institutions that's either supporting or impeding the progress we need towards the SDGs. Okay, I'm getting sticky keys. There we go. So a nice way of representing this comes from some work that seems to have followed on from Isabel's work on the sustainability mindset principles from this UN agency, where it's a nice visual that captures that deeper level, the roots, working at individual level and collective level. And if you do one more click, have we got the boxes that are going to come up? Perfect. So I wanted to align this towards higher education institutions. So you might be familiar with the concept of the hidden or subliminal curriculum. So what's happening within our university context that perhaps isn't so spoken about. So an example would be the commitment to addressing colonialism in the curriculum, of looking at, is it white Western perspectives that we're giving in teaching and learning despite commitment to equality and diversity. So that's the invisible part of what can be happening around us. And then that then moves in to the more visible part, the tree trunk, which we would see through the formal and informal curriculum. And this will link into the type of assessments that we can give. There's an interest in talking about assessments, and I will discuss how I've operationalized those, because of course, when we're talking about emotions and inner values, it can be more difficult to ensure that those are brought into formal assessment processes. But this is obviously something as educators that we're keen to look at how we can do it. And so by taking on these challenges and being the sustainability mindset pioneers, we are contributing towards that transformational whole person learning, that people are flourishing and contributing to their best selves and to the SDGs. I'm going to just talk you through here how the sustainability mindset has been my golden thread, how since I discovered it a couple of years ago. First, I first heard of it when I was thinking about competencies for responsible management education that I wanted to bring into my curriculum, and the baby can stay. I was curious as soon as I heard about the sustainability mindset principles through Prime, and immediately joined the working group, wanted to learn more, and it has positively impacted my teaching in terms of head, heart and hand. So it's very much especially when you look into Isabel's sustainability mindset indicator tool, it is very much based on cognitive, behavioural and affective dimensions of learning. So by looking at each of those principles that Isabel has talked through, each of them gets broken down into, you know, the factual cognitive level, the head dimensions of learning, connecting the emotions through the heart, and then the actual behaviours that students can start putting into action to move towards their goals. So already just even thinking about that transformed my teaching sessions, because it was giving me a route, a capacity to not only think about a particular mindset stroke competency, because they actually map towards each other, but to think about the different teaching approaches that go with it. And to further enhance my teaching, I therefore was lucky enough, I applied for some internal university funding, a research-informed teaching fund, which then enabled me to roll out the sustainability mindset indicator tool in my various courses that I had, undergraduate and postgraduate. And as Isabel has explained, you have a pre-questionnaire that you send out to students at the beginning of the module, in which even just taking the quiz helps them to understand more about who they are, where they want to go. And then I get a profile of the class results, and then I'm able to tailor the my teaching activities around any areas of mindset that commonly, you know, seem to be something that could be developed and triggered a little bit further. So thinking about activities around developing a sense of purpose, for example. So this enabled me, this of course fed into my research activity also, and I completed the diploma to help me with understanding that. So the community aspect that's come about is, it's one of the most active working groups. So I think, okay, I'm biased, but the LEAP community that Isabel has created, I think there's over 250 members, so a true global community. I recognise that a few people on this call. There are, without fail, very regular working group meetings. There's a Leap Cafe, there's a storytelling circle. So there's continual enrichment to help you, deep dive and learn more about each principle and how people are applying it. So absolutely invaluable. And I've got the laptop images there because I absolutely feel that I've built very close connections despite our global distances. And indeed, through the cafes, people have come to Oxford Brookes, where I'm based, and they've asked to meet up because they've been in Oxford. So I've personally met people through that network also. I've discussed the research angles. It's my sweet spot of research and education because I've been able to begin to obviously write up what I'm doing in the classroom. And there was a comment in chat about what we could all do together. And I think that's certainly a great potential interest, to find those common areas of interest. There's another connection and a research bid that I've been successful in with somebody from a Swiss university, thanks to Isabel's connections. So there's all sorts of spin-off benefits in terms of the academic career posts that we need to hit. Currently, I'm applying it very much in employability research. So where you see the guy with self-awareness, understanding himself, which of course is at the heart of the sustainability mindset. I'm currently integrating that into research that I'm doing around employability for sustainability. So essentially, no, I haven't finished, Isabel. Essentially, the sustainability mindset fits into absolutely everything I do. And the last box there is the business knowledge that I am also it's not just for educators, it's a coaching tool. So that's something else that's a great benefit from being part of the community, because you see how coaches are applying it in their conversations with businesses and organizations. And that's something that I've been invited to speak to business organizations about, for example, how the sustainability mindset can be used as a tool for talent management and attracting and retaining recruits. So the footprint image is from Isabel's own website, Footprints in the Sand, and really it captures, for me, I guess this is Isabel's local beach, lucky her, but it's all about how the sustainability mindset principles enable exploration in a very beautiful space, and it makes my work fun and enjoyable. Two brief examples I'm going to give. So this actually was part of a workshop for Mohammed, who is online here, where we were doing a workshop around how the sustainability mindset principles can be used, particularly looking at SDG 13 on climate change and helping participants to understand those mindsets principles in terms of the impeding mindset. This isn't my responsibility, I'm a victim, helping participants to see individual contribution. The whole notion around win-lose thinking, that it has to be development rather than environment, bringing about those debates. How can it be development and environment? What are the benefits of opening up the both and thinking? Moving away from, say, risk avoidance, linear modes of thinking, towards creative innovation within the emotional intelligence content area of understanding that climate change is not going to be solved through technological solutions alone, that it needs people to feel psychologically safe to come out to be their best and to come up with innovative solutions to our wicked complex problems. And finally, the content area of spiritual intelligence, bringing out purpose, helping participants, students, whoever it might be, to move beyond feelings of eco-guilt, climate anxiety, and to recognise how to understand own values and to live in harmony with those in order to have a ripple influence of change. And another just quick example here is how I have applied this with the employability research that I'm currently talking about, or helping students understand how they can use this within employability. So just yesterday, I searched through, I've got a bit of a strange hobby I enjoy looking for sustainability job ads to see what kind of roles my students can go into. So I came across this very attractive internship, sustainability social media intern, can be remote but based in London. And by introducing to students that if they're thinking about the sustainability mindset, how they can capitalize upon this when they're writing their applications and when they're at interviews, because they're going to be able to more deeply understand what those recruiters are actually looking for. So if you notice here, create newsletters and blogs on sustainability, UN SDG focused topics, well, that's eco-literacy. So understanding that, being able to showcase it. And if you just click on to the skills, it's the similar idea, helping them to see that word passion, passionate about sustainability and inclusivity, that's part of self-awareness. And so there is a genuine benefit from engaging in mindfulness, self-awareness practices, because this is something that is going to help you in your careers and indeed your personal lives. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think we rushed over this as a good example of the speed of our times and need to keep up. But at least we have 15 minutes or so to open the conversation, and maybe looking at the questions that you posed in the beginning, if they were not addressed, or if there's a new question that is coming up. If you want to unmute yourself, and I will stop sharing so we can see one another. If I just mute on, oh, there you go. So it's sort of a challenge to be here present and to read the chat at the same time. So I decided not to read the chat, but if you had a question there, please read it out loud. Just raise your hand. Jet, we have you there.
Yeah, thank you, Isabel. So great material, Karen. And my immediate question is about use of the mindset. How many of us are using this content to instruct students in the value of multidimensional thinking, and especially spiritual awareness? When I pose this question to my class of 60 students each term, I may get 6 or maybe 8 that talk about meditation in some level, but spiritual intelligence is a new topic for most of the undergraduates, and I've yet to kind of bridge the gap into graduate work too. But that aspect of this, I think, is a brand new area for us to be teaching too. But I'm just wondering if anybody else is using these principles, and how is it going?
Thank you, Jet. And the comment is open to anyone. So if you want to comment on this, and if not, Karen, if you want to comment on that, what has been the response of the students when you work on spiritual intelligence?
Well, hi, my name is Shujara. I would like to comment. I am actually a carbon literacy trainer myself and a senior lecturer. So what I usually do, I always try to incorporate that, and to facilitate this, I usually relate it to the cultural concepts. Because people, they always are going to have some cultural background, and no matter wherever they are coming from, they try to relate their own understanding with the existing concepts. So if we are introducing something that is completely new, but it is backed up by their own thoughts from their own culture, from their own belief, and from their own spiritual connection, then they tend to follow that in another way. It helps in building the emotional connection, and it helps people in seeing that it's not just them who is going to be facilitated, but it helps them in seeing how is it going to actually help and facilitate others associated with them.
Thank you
So it
very
actually
much.
works well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think sometimes the words put us off. When we say spiritual, I say, well, we're not talking spirituality or religion in our class, but we can talk about values, about what are your priorities? What are you making a priority? And that, it doesn't even have to be the answer, just the question starts up, creates a space in the mind of our audience. Let me go to Mohammed. Mohammed, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Karen, as well, for your fantastic presentation. I'm just want to share with you what we are doing. I don't have question, but I just want to echo what Karen and Isabel said about sustainability mindset in our business school. We are trying to help students to learn how business organization could create more moralized business ideologies in order to commercialize social and environmental projects. So what we are doing is we are looking for some sort of business organizations or leading sustainable business organization to show students real life examples about how they are moving from traditional business model to sustainable business model, and how this could help them to survive and sustain their business for the future generation. For example, we have got some connections with the Tradis Bank in Bristol and some other similar institutions like Unity Trust Bank in Birmingham and Charity Bank in London and Tunbridge. So these kind of business organizations, they are specialized in providing social or financial services to people who cannot access the high street banks, and they have got phenomenal business ideas and business services as well. So we are just helping students to find out how they can find more job opportunities in the future by looking at this kind of business organization. I'm more than happy to discuss it more with any of our colleagues here in the forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So just open your mic if you have a comment, an insight, or another question.
I'm about to leave. I just wanted to ask if it is possible for you to share these slides with us. Those were no doubt remarkable.
Yes, we will do so. And also, I see that we have about 11 or more messages in the chat. And I encourage you to write your email into the chat. And so what we will do, Karen and I will take a look at those questions that we can answer and send it to you in an email with the email address that you provided. So what other comment, Karen, go ahead.
I thought it could be helpful to just reply to one of the questions that Helen posed, that I'm sure many other people would have around where to start with this. And I think that you can go top down, bottom up. That in the UK, something that's increasingly talked about for embedding sustainability into the curriculum are the Quality Assurance Agency, the QAA sustainability competencies, and the mindset which are based on UNESCO. So they are a global sustainability competency framework, and the mindset principles map against these entirely. So they could, well, and they additionally, the spiritual intelligence is something that adds further value to those competencies. So that's something that I think educators are very familiar with, and the sustainability mindset principles can be used in exactly the same way in terms of take your syllabus, your week by week delivery, and think about which particular competencies that particular session aligns to. So it's taking that whole top down mapping, so that you're showing how you're bringing them into your module and across indeed the whole programme. And also just from the bottom up perspective, then that's where the fun comes in, of being able to even just have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, at the end of each session with a little extra activity that's bringing that subject more to life in terms of emotional connection, photos that, you know, trigger emotions, or behavioural quizzes, etc. So it's enabling those, you know, content heavy, factual based sessions to just have an added dimension of learning within them.
Thank you. And I wanted to share, because there are a few questions about resources. So let me quickly put it there. In this slide, we put a few things that you may found useful besides the books. The Prime Working Group on the Sustainability Mindset, it's an open group. There are no obligations, no cost, anyone can join. And as Karen was saying, we have virtual meetings. There are no obligations. Whoever shows up is the right people. And there is a big variety of disciplines presented. So most of them are from business schools, but not only. So we also have people from engineering and people from tourism and agriculture from Ghana. And so it really brings a richness. And someone asked, where can we discuss the narrative and what is the old paradigm? And many of our conversations are around that. Some are about the pedagogical approaches, research, and different things. So we have different type of meetings. And if you're interested, you send me an email or to Karen, and we can have a one-on-one Zoom call, and I can tell you more about this, and before you decide if you want to join. As I said, there's no obligation. But there are 57 countries represented. So it is a wonderful, colorful diversity, because the challenges in Sri Lanka are different from Finland and Colombia. And so it really, it's a wonderful community, a learning community. The other thing is the indicator. There is a link there, the smindicator.com. You will find resources there. You find a few papers and articles. And also there is a demo where you can take a brief experience of what the indicator looks like or feels like. You take the demo and it takes you a few minutes, and then immediately you get a personalized report. And that is a fragment of what the whole instrument is, but it gives you a feel. And if you want to know more about that, you just send us an email and we can share with you more. So I think we have time for one more question. And if you please write your email into the chat, because there are so many questions there and I would like to get back to them. We will split it up with Karen. I am volunteering you, Karen, to answer those questions that we have answers to. And but for that, we need your address so we can send it. Time for one more question. Just unmute yourself. Did I say mute yourself? No, I said unmute yourself. Okay, very silent. Well, so let me ask you one more thing. It's really important for us to get your feedback. If you can write into the chat a number from 1 to 5, how you rate this workshop, but more importantly, the why. Because as we do these events, we want to understand what things are found more valuable, what things we should do differently. So the why is as important or more important than the number, because then we can do something about it. And yes, for those that asked if we are going to share the PowerPoint, we will send it to Jasmine. So Jasmine, you make it available for the participants of the session. Yeah. Jasmine, just a question. Do you also have the contact information? Because then we can send you the question to you.
Yeah. Yes, I have the email address for all people who registered.
Okay, so we can do that, because sometimes
Yes.
there are people that registered but don't show up, so they may want it to.
Definitely.
I also wonder about the recording. Will we get a recording link?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant,
I
thank
will
you.
send you guys later when
Thank you.
it's automatically saved.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Karen, any last minute thoughts that you want to share?
I
Thank
don't think
you.
so, other than I hope that it's just a beginning. Let's do something. Power of community, power of collaboration.
Okay, you're all welcome. We're one email away. Have a beautiful day.
You
Evening.
too. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Jasmine, I didn't copy
Yes.
the chat. Will you copy the chat for us?
Yes, I will save all the information, all the messages in the chat box here.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, that is always a challenge in 1 hour like that to read the chat, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to hear what